The village of Njaboro was hidden deep within the thick forests of Central Africa. Known for its abundance of fruit trees and fertile soil, Njaboro was a peaceful place where the villagers thrived off the land. The people were skilled farmers, hunters, and storytellers. At night, they would gather under the ancient baobab tree to tell tales of their ancestors, animals that could speak, and the powerful spirits that govern the natural world. One man in the village, named Akin, was different from the others. Unlike the men of Njaboro, who were either farmers or hunters, Akin was known for his adventurous spirit. He always wandered far beyond the village, venturing into parts of the forest where no one else dared to go. His curiosity often led him to strange encounters with wild animals and the unseen forces of nature. Yet he was fearless, for he believed that the world was filled with mysteries waiting to be unraveled. One hot afternoon, Akin set out once more, determined to explore a part of the forest that no one had entered for years. The villagers had warned him of the dangers that lurked there. Stories of a giant snake said to be the guardian of the forest's secrets. But Akin, ever brave and curious, brushed off their concerns. With his machete in hand and a small pack of provisions, he disappeared into the thick woods. The deeper Akin ventured, the thicker the forest became. The sounds of birds and animals grew fainter, and soon there was an eerie silence that hung over the land. The trees were taller here, their leaves creating a canopy that blocked out the sun. Akin paused for a moment, realizing he was in a part of the forest that even the oldest villagers avoided. As he walked, he noticed strange markings on the trees, symbols he had never seen before. They looked ancient, like something left behind by a civilization long forgotten. But Akin was undeterred. He pushed forward, determined to uncover the secrets of this place. Suddenly, the ground beneath him trembled. Akin froze, gripping his machete tightly. The trembling grew stronger, and then he heard it, the sound of something massive moving through the underbrush. A chill ran down his spine as he slowly turned around. There, coiled around the trunk of a giant tree, was the biggest snake he had ever seen. Its scales shimmered like black diamonds, and its eyes glowed with a deep, unnatural light. The snake was so large that its body seemed to disappear into the forest, stretching on for what felt like miles. Akin's heart pounded in his chest. He had heard stories of this snake, but he had never imagined it would be so enormous. The villagers called it Agbara, the guardian of the forest. It was said that anyone who came face to face with Agbara would never return. But Akin, despite his fear, was not ready to turn back. As Akin stared at the massive serpent, he realized it was watching him with an almost human intelligence in its eyes. There was something strange, almost otherworldly, about the snake. It did not strike or threaten him. Instead, it spoke. "Why do you wander so far from your village, Akin?" The snake's voice was deep, resonant, and filled the air like a drumbeat. Akin was stunned. He had heard stories of talking animals, but he had never experienced anything like this before. Gathering his courage, he replied, "I seek to understand the world beyond Njaboro. I wish to know the secrets that the forest holds." The snake's eyes seemed to narrow, and its body shifted slightly. "The world is full of secrets, young man, but some secrets are not meant to be uncovered. Still, you are bold, and for that, I will offer you a choice." Akin remained silent, waiting for the snake's next words. "You may leave now and return to your village, never to speak of this place again. Or," the snake paused, its eyes glowing brighter, "you may stay and learn the ancient knowledge of the forest. But know this, if you choose to stay, you will live inside my belly for 7 days." Akin's mind raced. Living inside a snake's belly sounded absurd, but the promise of ancient knowledge was too tempting to ignore. He was a man driven by curiosity, always yearning for something greater. After a long moment of silence, he made his decision. "I will stay," Akin said firmly. Without another word, The snake opened its enormous jaws, revealing a dark, cavernous mouth. Ikeen took a deep breath, knowing there was no turning back. Slowly, he stepped forward and allowed the snake to swallow him whole. Inside the snake's belly, Ikeen expected darkness and death. But instead, he found himself in a strange, glowing chamber. The walls of the snake's insides were lined with luminescent markings, similar to the ones he had seen on the trees outside. The air was thick and warm, but he could breathe easily. For the first time in his life, Ikeen felt like he was in another world, one that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. As he stood there, the snake's voice echoed all around him. "Welcome, Ikeen. Here, you will learn the knowledge of the ancients. You will see the world as you have never seen it before." In the days that followed, Ikeen was taken on a journey through the snake's memories. He saw visions of the past, times when the forest was filled with spirits and beings of immense power. He learned about the land's ancient guardians and the balance between man and nature. The snake showed him how to communicate with animals, how to heal with herbs, and how to understand the language of the wind and the trees. Every night, Ikeen would fall into a deep sleep inside the snake's belly, only to dream of vast, endless landscapes and ancient civilizations. These dreams were more vivid than any he had ever experienced, and they filled his mind with questions and wonder. By the end of the first week, Ikeen had learned more than he ever thought possible. But as the seventh day approached, a strange feeling crept into his heart, a longing for home. On the morning of the seventh day, the snake spoke to Ikeen one last time. "You have learned well, Ikeen. It is time for you to return to your people. But remember, with great knowledge comes great responsibility." With that, the snake opened its mouth and gently released Ikeen back into the forest. As he stood there, blinking in the sunlight, he realized that the world around him felt different, brighter, more alive. He had changed, and he knew it. Ikeen made his way back to Njaboro, eager to share his newfound wisdom with the villagers. But little did he know, his return would spark events that would change the village forever. When Ikeen arrived in Njaboro, the villagers were shocked to see him. They had assumed he was dead, swallowed by the forest's dangers. His sudden return filled them with both relief and suspicion. Ikeen tried to explain what had happened, but the villagers found it hard to believe his tale of the giant talking snake and the knowledge it had bestowed upon him. Some thought he was lying, while others believed he had been possessed by dark forces. The village elder, Obi, was particularly concerned. "Ikeen, you disappeared for 7 days, and now you return with strange stories and powers. How can we trust you? How do we know you haven't been cursed?" Determined to prove his worth, Ikeen offered to show the villagers what he had learned. He led them to the forest and demonstrated his ability to communicate with animals, identify rare herbs, and heal the sick with natural remedies. At first, the villagers were hesitant, but as they saw the results of his teachings, they began to trust him once more. People from neighboring villages even came to seek Ikeen's guidance, and his fame spread across the land. But with fame came envy, and not everyone was pleased with Ikeen's growing influence. In a nearby village, there lived a man named Ease, who had always envied Ikeen's adventurous spirit. Ease had hoped to be the most respected man in the region, but now Ikeen's reputation overshadowed his own. Consumed by jealousy, Ease began plotting to bring Ikeen down. Ease started spreading rumors that Ikeen's powers came from dark magic, that he had made a deal with the snake to gain control over the people. Slowly, suspicion began to creep back into the hearts of the villagers of Njaboro. One evening, as the sun set over Njaboro, Ease confronted Ikeen in front of the entire village. "You claim to have learned the wisdom of the ancients, but how can we trust someone who disappeared for 7 days inside the belly of a beast? Perhaps you have been cursed, and now you bring that curse upon us." The villagers murmured, torn between their admiration for Ikeen and the fear that Iza's words had stirred within them. Ikeen remained calm, knowing that this was a test not just of his knowledge, but of his character. "I did not seek power for myself," he said. "The snake showed me the balance of the world, and I returned to share it with all of you. But if you believe I am a threat, I will leave Njaboro and take my knowledge with me." The village elder, Obi, stood up, his voice filled with authority. "Ikeen has brought great wisdom to our village, but Ease raises a fair question. We must decide as a community. Will we accept Ikeen's teachings, or will we turn him away?" The villagers gathered in a circle, discussing their options. Some argued that Ikeen's knowledge had healed the sick and strengthened their community, while others feared the unknown power he had acquired. As the debate went on, Ikeen waited in silence, knowing that his fate hung in the balance. That night, Ikeen had a dream. The giant snake appeared before him once again, its eyes glowing softly in the darkness. "Do not fear the doubts of men, Ikeen," the snake said. "You have learned much, but now it is time for you to trust in the wisdom you possess. Show them the truth, and they will see that your heart is pure." When Ikeen awoke, he knew what he had to do. The following day, Ikeen called the villagers together. He offered to prove his innocence by undergoing a dangerous trial, a journey back into the heart of the forbidden forest where he had first met the snake. If he survived, it would be a sign that his intentions were pure. If not, it would confirm their fears. The villagers agreed, and Ease reluctantly accepted the challenge. Ikeen set off into the forest, determined to prove himself once more. As Ikeen made his way through the forest, he felt a sense of familiarity. The trees, the air, and the sounds of the forest all welcomed him like an old friend. He followed the path back to the place where he had first encountered the giant snake. When he arrived, the snake was waiting for him, its massive body coiled around the ancient tree. "You have returned, Ikeen," it said. "What do you seek?" "I seek the truth," Ikeen replied. "My people doubt me, and I need to show them that I have not been cursed." The snake nodded slowly. "Then you shall have the truth." Ikeen returned to Njaboro, his eyes filled with the knowledge he had gained during his second journey. This time, the villagers could see the clarity in his gaze and the strength in his voice. "I have returned," Ikeen said, standing before them, "and I have learned that true power comes not from knowledge alone, but from the heart that carries it." The village elder, Obi, approached Ikeen and placed his hand on his shoulder. "We see now that your heart is pure, Ikeen. You have passed the trial, and we will follow your wisdom." The villagers cheered, and even Ease lowered his head in acceptance. From that day forward, Ikeen became known not just as the man who lived in a snake's belly, but as a leader who brought balance and wisdom to Njaboro. And the story of Ikeen's journey was passed down through generations, a reminder that true knowledge is not just about what one learns, but about how one uses it to help others.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the rich tapestry of African folklore. We hope this tale has inspired you and sparked your imagination. Stay tuned for more stories that will continue to captivate your mind and soul. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more enchanting tales, and share this story with those who seek wisdom and adventure. Until next time, may you walk in the light of knowledge and the path of wisdom.